Underbelly. Anything that comes our way. Any little
Alright.
thing. We've talked to Mantha before, but I want to see if there's something new. Hello again, Captain. Still in good company, I see. Anything I can do for you? Not unless my friend has more questions for you. Um, again, yeah, we've gone through this.
Why not?
Don't want
Look out
anything to do with
below!
Allergen.
Above! Sideways!
We might as well go through shops we encounter at the same time. Buy things for Rin.
Sure
Maybe
enough.
sell our excess crap. Peak looks up at you with a dazzling smile, but not fast enough to conceal the sorrow that was on her face before. What's new? Uh, Nothing new apparently. Wait, wait. He pretends to be happier than
On
she
my way.
actually is. Glowing wire, yeah, stuck on the line. You take a hold of the fishing rod and begin reeling in the line. The hook pops out of the water, leaving a thin, utterly impossible column of empty air all the way to the bottom. In the moment the surrounding water rushes to fill it from the top down, you hear a forlorn melody curling from the depths. Okay. Seems like every day there's something new happening here. Or rather, every time we've rested, I would assume.
Absolutely.
Huh. I have no idea what to do with Vernoth. They can spot something new. Nope. Nope. And nope. Vernoth, champion of the place. I can't really discuss anything interesting with her. Headless Man sort of aggravates me because I have no idea what to do with him or it. I can't even look at it.
Alright.
No options of any kind.
I'm going.
Trust and honesty are our bonds. All right, Rin, you can do this.
Anything new on the map for her? Tattoos. Can you tell me about the places you've been? Yeah, nothing really interesting here. The Headless Man doing something.
I'm ready.
Mantha said I should pay you a visit. Good old man. He'll get a shin for that next time I see him. Maybe it'll keep him on the straight. I'll ask the same questions again. Tattoos. Let's try the meats. Okay, Anin Shang. Yeah, I'll pay him. Milk nods, saunters over the bed of red-throbbing muscles and carves off a slice. He spears the meat with a sharpened bone skewer and slaps it onto the grill, sprinkling it with a flurry of spices. When the meat is cooked, he hands you the skewer and you take a bite. The meat is gamey and a little tough, but the spices are so intense that you hardly notice. Lots of folks eat that 3 times a day. Wish more of them would give them my dribble wings a try, but it's their loss, eh? You take another bite of the anine meat, trying to get a sense of the flavor that lies beneath the heavy spice. Its taste summons a welter of memories. You've eaten anine flesh before, perhaps many times. It evokes a vague sense of desperation, of a vast ruined landscape, detonations erupting around you, scavenging the bodies of fallen beasts for food. You realize that it isn't one memory but many, many lifetimes, perhaps in a hellscape of war. Memories fade. Okay, I think we in general should try everything. More meat. Um, Dribble wing. Good choice. Milk produces a jagged knife and saws one of the leathery wings from the fluttering mass and tosses it onto the grill. It flaps weakly for a few moments, then lies still. An aroma like sweet baking fruit begins to rise from the stiffening wing. After a short time, Milk lifts it from the grill with a pair of tongs and hands it to you. You take a bite. The wing is crunchy and sweet, with a rich and fruity taste. Good, eh? Nobody believes it till they try. Milk grins and slaps his belly. I eat him all day long. Keeps me trim and handsome. Okay, nothing exceptional here. Uh, Buy the last piece of meat. Blocktail. He shrugs, giving you a dubious look. With a quick motion of the hand, Milk tears 2 wriggling blocktails from the vat, twists them together and ties them into a loop. Then he drops them on the grill, where they begin to sizzle and spit. As they cook, the green and white color grows brighter and more intense. After a short while, Milk takes them from the grill and hands them to you. Some of the tails are still wriggling as you take a tentative bite. The meat is flaky, overly sweet, and it fizzes in your mouth like bubbly water. Milk shakes his head. He's loved those things. Can't stand it myself. Right. So not particularly useful. Nothing really happening here anymore. Egg friend. Chikek whistles. The smell of dust and closed air surrounds it. The creature is clearly glad to see you. Stitcha move to new home. It's good place. Chikek gone soon. Human want travel before Chikek leave. It's free for good human. What places do you offer? Last words, changing God Sanctuary, Cliff's Edge, Old Lair. There's no places. I've been to all of these.
Yeah, that's something I could do.
Dendra War, we don't have really any business here, but there's the bot. I don't think I've talked with these people after they found out who the guilty party was, so maybe they have something to say. He gives zero shits about me.
I'm always ready.
Hmm. Nothing important. Oh, you should have seen Kiyotava running out of here just before Folsom's people came. Thought she was so clever, better than the rest of us, but she wasn't smarter than you, yeah?
Learning begets doing. Or is it the other way?
It was Kyotawa. She fled just before Folsom's enforcers arrived. I should have known. I wish I'd known. She tasted of fear and sorrow, but never rage, never that kind of hunger. How do you think? Ooh, how do you think Kyotawa discovered the Endless Gate? We were so proud, he says, his casual cheer deserting him. We chased the children of the Endless Gate from Sagas, never considering that they might bear a grudge, that they might return. He looks at the oily ceiling. There is a sickness in them, a contagious one. I can only imagine that one of them returned to Sagas Cliffs and died here, perhaps on purpose. Yatawa discovered the corpse, devoured it, and heard the song that spills from the Endless Gate. Do you share another vision with me? Impitu closes his eyes and begins to speak. Each year brings him closer to his goals. Each year brings her closer to him. Her of the long arms and the bruised blood. Her that loved the tides first and holds dominion over them. Her that hollows, burns and kills. He absently wipes a line of sweat from his withered forehead. Her breath is on your neck. The long race is done, and you have lost. Imbitu's eyes pop open. Was it of any help? It certainly felt dire. I do hope it wasn't bad news. I'm afraid the visions get rather more fragmented from here. So basically, it's a race between Sorrow and the changing god toward the goal.
Yes.
What goal? I don't know. But the Sorrow is already inside me somehow. Limited, but still inside me. And it refers to the Sorrow as her, but that doesn't necessarily mean. Manufacturing. We'll forget about it again.
Go.
That's the main reason we came here. Okay, what do you got? First, Eidolon. This isn't a nice one, but there's a problem with this. This could have been useful with this speech if I'd had to go there alone or something, but I don't see it being all that useful. Not really. Immunity to dazed and blinded. +1 in perception skill. Oh no, this is what I have. A Berserker's Yoke, bonded item artifact. Intimidation, +3 damage. I'm not particularly interested. It's not bad, but we don't really have bonded spots. Not the ones we can easily utilize.
I am the very soul of action.
Okay. Don't think I can really talk with the workers, right? It's all about the machines.
Yes.
Hello again, Artisan says. What do you need? Can you tell me about your past? To be honest, I don't like thinking about it. All of us went slightly insane during our centuries down here before the humans came. But the other foreman and I don't dwell on things like Master Foreman does. An ember drifts down from the high ceiling between you. If you want the whole story in excruciating detail, Master Foreman's the one to ask. Why do you have your workers decorating your armor? Because I want to be the most beautiful construct in Sagas Cliffs. Construct declares. The workers behind it chuckles. I'm joking. My eyes, well, not eyes, but you know, they failed a long time ago. But my other senses are good, very good. So when my workers want to show me a design, they scratch it out on my plate. I feel it and give them feedback. Not that some of them need it. Hmm. That's a long time to be blind. Why can't anyone repair you? The easiest answer to that question is we don't have the parts. Artisan says, then lowers its voice. But the truth is that I am afraid. Nothing is going to make me blinder, but... It falls silent, the forge hisses and pops nearby. Those first decades in the darkness were the hardest. Then I started seeing patterns in them. Simple at first, then with colors, depth, shade, grand cyclical designs. It sighs happily. I still see them and I wouldn't trade them for sight. To be perfectly honest, the artists don't need me anymore. They've done wondrous work in the city above, but they like asking my opinion. The construct barks a laugh, and I like giving it. What's your opinion of your fellow foreman? Well, I don't like to speak poorly of my family. The construct breaks off when the worker behind it snickers. It's true, they're difficult in their own ways, of course. We argue, and here, we means Master Foreman and me, but that's to be expected. We know one another for millennia, understand? We went through decades of angry silence until, well, we learned to accept each other as we are. Master Foreman has beliefs, exhausting ones that I can't help inflict on others, and our broken friend wants to die, I think. Puts it a different way, but it does. And though we bicker, I care for them. How couldn't I, after thousands and thousands of years? Can you show me something your workers have created? Absolutely. Hold on a second. Let me get a sense of what might appeal to your tastes. Nested sensors whir into life on its shoulders and beam a light fan over you in the space of a heartbeat. Not so interested in the arts, I see. Varga, get our visitor the contents of store box 39. A few minutes later, a stalker hurries out and places a heavy object in your hands. No charge. Call it a gift. Globe of Zerul. This synth globe clearly depicts an unknown world. The more you look at it, the more details you discover, as if the globe somehow enhances and concentrates your vision as you examine it. Farewell, artisan.
I'm ready. I'm going.
You're back. We don't train novices here. Why are you here? What do you want? Out with it. I'm pretty handy with machines. Want me to try repairing you? Keep your hands off me. If I wanted to be repaired to defy the will of the cartographers, I would have had your ancestors do it centuries ago. Have some sense. Tell me about the other constructs. Can't spend much time chatting, it says, but lowers its voice. You've shown an interest in us, and I appreciate that. The truth is that there are no other foremen. Not really. Yes, there are. Master Artisan bellows cheerfully from across the manufactory. No, there aren't, the Master Foreman shouts. Remain silent. The truth is that we were once a single mind, but when the cartographers left us, our minds settled into different containers, pools if you will, and while theirs grew stagnant and self-indulgent, mine remained clean, untainted, pure. Ignoring the snort from the distant artisan, the Master Foreman continues. While the years poured past, I felt the slow ruin of the city the cartographers had left behind. It haunted me, and so I vowed to undo the damage that time had done. I noticed that you haven't spoken much about the third foreman, the one with no legs. There's a reason for that. I focus my intellect on the design of everything from useful devices to structures that will last 1,000 generations. The Master Artisan contributes at least, even if it prefers focusing on delicately etched flowers, base aesthetics. And a good thing too, otherwise Segas would look like a stack of unpolished metal cubes. We need to choose, do we value beauty or function? The problem again here is that we have very extreme views. Beauty is just as important as function, if not more so. Or I might prefer your unpolished metal cubes. I don't know. I feel it's a choice between which type of a tide you want to collect yourself. That's sort of the problem I have with some of these dialogue options. It feels like they're not really things someone would say. They're things that you say to influence your alignment or to tides. So it's beauty is just as important as function, if not more so. It's probably red tide. I would guess blue, the more functional ones. So blue, yeah, blue and indigo. So would I. Though I am not against an arch or two, very structurally sound an arch. At first, the third one in our little group helped with the great endeavor. Our workers scavenged pipes from the great ruins beneath the city, harnessed the power in the cartographer vessels, and redirected it through Sega's cliffs. But in the centuries since, the other foreman has grown doubtful. Not useful doubt, mind you, not the kind that leads to more efficient designs and processes. No, the other foreman has existential doubt. It wonders why we are alive, as if we actually are, and it has become obsessed with the idea of producing offspring to the point of dismantling itself to do so. Master Foreman snorts, sentimental dribble bordering on perversion. I may have some business for you. Actually, I'm not sure, do I? I need advice on repairing a crystalline device in the reef. Consultation, eh? Tell you what, bring me a piece of the device to examine and I'll count the examination as payment for advice rewarded. Deal? Show the crystal shard to the Master Foreman.
I'll remember that.
It says scanning the shard. Micro fissure saturated with organic fluid. This device of yours is alive. Replacement crystals need to be grown, not made. Construct eyelight swivels from you, leaving you and the shard in the dark. Can't help you more than that. Growing crystals isn't my business, but those ruin diggers in the Order of Truth might be able to tell you more. You'll find them in Government Square, up the ladder to my left. Good luck. Right. Tarnish. Spotted you before you could sneak up on me, he says, flashing his gums. What do you need? What do you do here? I take care of my master, the under foreman. There used to be more of us when he was making things, but when he lost interest, the master foreman, he jerks a yellow thumb at the construct in the center of the chamber. Hire them all, offer them more. Harnish spits on the ground. Happened a while back, but I don't forget a slight. How long have you worked with the foreman? Couldn't say. On my first day, I'd already met my wife, but she was still married to what's his name, with the fishhook tattoo. And I hadn't lost a finger and grown it back yet, so... He peers at the ceiling, mouth working. 70 years, give or take. I should retire, but there'd be no one left to mind him if I left. Why do you keep calling your master a he? I worked for him a long time because I stopped seeing him as a thing and more like a him. All of us have our little ways, even him. Okay. That doesn't really help.
Of course.
Segments of this bisected construct's legs lie scattered around it. Someone has painstakingly altered these pieces, giving them small limbs and tiny metallic heads. Nonetheless, they aren't moving. The larger construct's turquoise eyes flicker out of sync with each other as they turn toward you. I do not understand, it says. The voice emerging from the grill around its eyes is soft, as though you are hearing it from far away. Don't they want to live? The viaducts are open, commands are received, and yet its eye lights flutter. Every time I give my children life, they die. These tiny things are your children. Not anymore. Now they are inanimate and lifeless. Their adaptive personalities have been lost. I do not understand why they are dying. I have given the subject of procreation a great deal of thought over the last century. There are no errors in my calculations. My assistant Tarnish built my children's bodies to my precise specifications. Their intelligence reservoirs are shielded against permanent loss. Did you check his work? His eyes look away from yours as if it is embarrassed. And I want them to live. That should be enough. Intelligence reservoir. Let me examine them. I might be able to help. It does not protest, so you examine the motionless constructs on the ground in front of the foreman. From what you can understand of the technology here, the foreman is correct. These little constructs should be working, but they aren't. May be possible that the flaw is not in them. You share this information with the foreman. I agree, and I believe a new direction has presented itself.
Updated my journal.
My children need more energy to live, but my construction prevents me from transfers above a certain threshold, and for good reason.
His pupils rotate, contracting.
Energy transfers above a certain percentage would lead to a chain of ruptures in my intelligence rings. I would die.
Its voice mesh clicks.
Help me force myself to make this transfer, for I cannot do it myself. Help me give my life to my children.
Yes.
Will you help me?
The words are almost buried beneath a crackling surge of static. I don't particularly want to help you kill yourself.
Very well. If you change your mind, my assistant Tarnish may have some ideas on how to proceed.
Why would you want to? I'd like to ask more questions about why he's so set on this path.
Haha, spotted you before you could.
Yeah. How do you feel about your master's goal?
I'll remember that.
It's a fine thing to want children. I wish I'd had them myself. Too late now, of course. No ladies knocking down my door. Of course, when people have children, it doesn't come at the cost of their lives, most of the time. And that life doesn't belong to a creature that's older than the oceans. It's a shame and a waste, but he wants what he wants. Always has. Doesn't mean I won't miss him.
The assistant's smile is fond and brief. It does not reach his eyes. How can I give the foreman's life to its children?
Making a note.
I'm not sure. I've been tinkering with this one for 50 years and I still only half understand him.
He studies the air, rubbing his lips together.
You might try examining him on your own, or you could try talking to the Order of Truth. They know more about old machines than I ever will.
Okay, let's take a look at him. He's clearly not happy with what the foreman here is doing. But I'm not sure how that's particularly relevant here. Can't you find some other way to have children? Yeah, maybe we should try that. Can you tell me about how you and the other foreman came to be like this?
I will not. It is not an era I wish to revisit. Speak with the Master Foreman instead.
Why don't you want to talk about your past?
Because the Master Foreman revels in the past and will be happy to share it with you. I do not, and will not.
You seem very dispassionate about your failures to create children.
I have been through 27 iterations of birth, which each attempt more of my non-essential personality and intelligence rings rupture.
The foreman's eyes dim.
Know that these small bodies are only bodies. 27 versions of my children have lived and died within them. Know that they lived long enough for me to understand their personalities and name them before they were purged, lost.
Soft whirring issues from the mesh around the foreman's flickering eyes. Why do you want children?
Need, not want.
His pupils study the distant ceiling.
When I was born, I began working in seconds. I did this until our creators shut down our bodies. The millennia since, I have focused on designing the infrastructure beneath the other foremen's work and instructing workers on how to execute on these designs. Eventually, I realized I was unhappy. For time to time, my workers brought their children to the manufactory, holding their small hands, explaining the mysteries of this place to them.
Its pupils flicker up.
It began as a thought. That would I teach my own children to be curious, to explore, to ask foolish questions, to see the world above that we three have never seen.
The foreman's pupils reappear.
And when I thought these things, I saw the shape of my children, outlined by daylight. They already existed.
Can I examine you?
Yes, Harnish, open my preservation hatches and viaduct shields.
Hmm.
Please.
The elderly workman shuffles over and does as he's asked. You've never seen technology like this. Wires pass through glass tubes threaded with pale light and star-speckled darkness. Right. You glance over at Tarnish. He's looking away, arms crossed, as though unwilling to watch a stranger tinker with his master. The tubes themselves have an oddly organic configuration that curve through several mysterious brushed cases. Huh. From what you can see, the foreman's trouble is not due to his physical body. Something must be wrong with the intelligence itself, the foreman's mind. Huh. From what you can see, the foreman's trouble is not due to his physical body. Something must be wrong with the intelligence itself. It's pretty suicidal, though. It wants to die, so the children want to die too. Your assistant Tarnish doesn't want you to die. If you're gone, he'll have no one. Can't you find some other way to have children?
I'll remember that.
You hear a faint rhythmic clanking as though a gear has come loose in a distant ancient clock.
He has served me more than well,
Construct says at last but softly.
and he is not young.
A sigh rattles from the mesh around its eyes.
Perhaps I will wait. One more test. I have nothing but time.
He clasps your hands in his cold ones.
Thank you for convincing my master not to go through with it. He won't let this go, of course, and maybe there ain't a way to keep his children alive without killing him. But maybe this will keep him from doing it until long after I'm gone.
So not sure if this is a good solution, but it's a solution.
All right.
What will you do now that you've decided to live on? Hot air sighs from the foreman's vents.
Study the deaths of my children so that I will not fail in the future.
It says so softly that you can barely hear it.
Count the minutes until I can try again.
Yeah, I'm not so that convinced this was a good solution, but it's a solution. Obvious. Shit. The obvious thing was to talk to the porter, so the reproduction specialist. I didn't miss. Well, I can't say I was aware of the possibility that the Quets would end here. I was assumed that he would basically at least consider other options. That's the problem with the con, basically trying to convince in the options, because they end things instead of be part of a conversation. More reproductive processes? Yeah. Yeah. Without a doubt, we could have actually made it work
You
somehow.
think that's best?
It's a lost opportunity. I don't want to try to redo everything just because I might prefer a different option or want to know what happens if I do something else.
Yes. Now.
I'd say that's rather a good thing that you have these choices that you sort of wish that you could have tried different things. That's the reason why you replay again. Anything here? Red ticket. I'll visit Sangolin, see what he has for sale.
Yeah, that's something I could do.
Tell me about Government Square. I want to see if there's basically anything new. Tell me about the fountain. He stares at you and shakes his head.
Truly, Overseer Yin is hiring almost anyone these days. There was a time when the city officials were expected to know Sega's Cliffs. Never mind, you asked about the fountain. Only one of the stranger and more poignant attractions in the square. The creatures in it are called jellies, and they chatter in 1,000 dead tongues. The priests say that a new jelly is born each time an old language dies. You could listen to them for months and never hear the same language twice, or understand a single one.
So I stole a dead language out of it. Council Tower.
It is an ancient beyond reckoning. The tower's roots go all the way down to the fortress in the underbelly, and with it sits the Council of Sega's Cliffs, the finest, fairest legislative body in the Ninth World. And I don't say that just because they are my most valued patrons. They have run this city well for centuries, and thanks to me, they look magnificent while doing it.
Order of Truth.
They are a credit to our city, wise scholars and deep thinkers, excellent customers as well, are very particular about their robes.
Red ticket.
The Whispering Wood, I call it, a very curious and ancient place. You can speak as loudly as you like in there, and none but your partner can hear you. A great place for diplomacy.
House of Empty Time.
The archway near the Order of Truth. A most peculiar thing. It seems to be a way of transporting children somewhere. I have seen some go in and others come out, but I don't know where they go or where they come from.
Right. Not particularly useful. We knew all of this already. Grounding cloak. It's a worse cloak than I already have. Same thing with the armor, I suppose. So he offers us nothing. I'm not sure if I've actually done everything. I also have more perception now. Yeah, these are jellies, nearly harmless creatures that are usually found in clouds above the sea. What they're doing in this fountain is an utter mystery. Examine. You take in the surrounding architecture before returning your gaze to the fountain. The structure easily predates the buildings in this plaza and possibly the city. Might be even be older than the Ninth World. Okay. Listen. More Timeson. More Timeson. Can I try to catch another one? You close your hand around another fish. Tiny teeth jump at your flesh between your fingers, and you release it with a curse. They allow you to get one, but that's it.
Trust and honesty are our bonds.
Not exactly a disappointment. Anything else? Ooh, more
All right,
children.
Rin, you can do this. If you think that's best.
Bees. We could talk with Alison Perry. That's probably a one way to get rid of Rin. Okay. The workmanship of this device is quite different from that of the generator. If the generator bears the mark of a brilliant mind connecting technologies in weird and unexpected ways, this archway is merely clever, like a gifted student imitating the work of a master. You suspect that it owes much of its functionality to the generator from which it draws its power. It also appears to be a more recent construction. So, at least we're getting new information out of these
On it.
with increased skills. You thumb a button beneath the steadily glowing lights and feel an odd painful sensation below your navel. It is as if someone has slipped a hook into your flesh and is tugging it from the other ends of the three very long lines. One is attempting to draw you into the direction of Sega's lower cliffs. Another is pulling you down toward Circus Minor. And a third, the one that feels almost taut, traces an invisible line back to Caravanserai, where the teleportation control panel was. So it's an internal. Yeah, we can jump from generator to the generator or the main thing. Can teleport to. I wonder if our changing of the generators from time location alters this arch too. No more children can come through, basically. It's a possibility, at least.
Yes.
Ah,
Yes.
there's
Now.
not really all that much here. We're certainly starting to run out of things to do.
Let's go.
We have Ayin, who knows.
Sure.
Secrets to exchange. In exchange for what though?
I'm ready.
I have no idea.
I'm always.
I'll talk to Alice. Confirm that we might be able to get rid of the ring this way. Why, hello there, she exclaims, catching sight of Rin. She smiles at you with renewed appreciation. It's good to see you. And you, she returns to Rin, crouching down so they're on the same level. Wait, what's this? She reaches behind Rin's ear. When Rin turns to look at what she's doing, Alison taps her lightly on the nose. Rin laughs. Alison smiles. Such a gem. Yours? She glances up. Her expression softens at the look on your face. He stands and takes your hands in hers. You're a good person, she says simply, looking into your eyes as if willing you believe it. Then she lets go. Anything new? Rin would be better off with a family of her own. And we can dump her here. That makes sense. Why would I be going there? Caravanserai. I don't. Yeah, there's the silver creatures there. We could try to sell some information to them. We don't have any use for the ciphers. We can just sell them.
Yeah, that's something I could do. Sure.
Tell the orphans about the foreman in the underbelly. You sketch an approximation of the city's manufactory, including rough depictions of the foreman, careful to indicate how they tower over the human workers. Then you draw a line connecting them to the orphan's symbol for machine intelligences. Silver orphans watch you intently until your drawing is complete. The orphan on the right reaches inside itself, drawing out another object that it drops into your waiting hands. An oddity. When a living animal is placed inside this birdcage, the device automatically activates, putting the creature into stasis. Theoretically, it could preserve a living being indefinitely, though the cage's size limits this to very small creatures. This cage is inactive, and you do not have the means to reactivate it. A century ago, the elite of Harev prized stillness cages to preserve their outrageously expensive pets, until they discovered that the stasis warped their animals' minds, turning their creatures savage when they emerge from the cage. Okay. Can I get any similar information out of other items? Anyone missing an ornament? Not really. Ring of Entanglement. Well, whatever. We have the unusable ring that is incomplete. Examine a ref. You hold the ring fragment in one hand, though it seems like this should be impossible. Small thing is incredibly heavy. A small protrusion extrudes from one end of the fragment. Oh, we need the complete set. I'm trying to look for is there any additional information on some of these item descriptions. Like more lore mystical train. Certain skill levels give you extra information. Maybe there's no extra information about everything, but sometimes they have a little additional note so you know more about it. Right. I don't think there's anyone here we can do anything with. Right. There's this guy. Guijano del Toboso, but it's not a quest. We can send him against
Trust
certain
and honesty are our
opponents,
bonds.
and we have no idea what the consequences are. Although Stitches are no longer opponents, so it would be the Endless Gates people. No idea what the consequence of that is. I'm sort of interested in maybe just sending him after them, see what exactly is the end result. At the same time, it seems like it could be a gigantic clusterfuck or a catastrophe.
I find myself trying to watch
Yeah,
what
it looks
stories I
like
tell
the
around you, lass.
it should work now. Right. Right. I'll actually just talk with Lost Self. I, I didn't. I need to
I'm
talk to the women who were basically affected by my shutting down of the machine. She embraces you as fiercely as a child, then blushes and pulls away. She's gone! That damned woman in my head is gone and my memories are coming back. What did you do? A machine under the city was the source of the voices. I turned it off. No, she breathes, pale and delighted. I thought it was a dream, but I saw you. You went into a hole in the ground and I heard the sound of gears grinding down. He clasped your wrist and with cold hands. Thank you so much. I can almost remember my name now. Yeah, but that all. It's good to see you again, she says, beaming at you. All traces of her former anguish are gone. Can I look at that shining vial of yours again? She looks at the vial strapped to her wrist as though seeing it for the first time. How strange, I'd forgotten. Did I tell you, I found it beneath a pile of blackened scales in some building I'd never seen before. I just woke up there one morning. He looked at the vial again. It felt so important at the time, like it was mine. He removes the vial and hands it to you. Keep it, and thanks for what you did for me. Sparse kiss. Artifact. It's a shield. It's a slightly better shield, 5% better evasion. Next enemy that makes a melee attack on this character gets knocked down. Active with 1 round. Yeah. This vial of viscous fluid belongs to Loss of Self until you persuaded her to give it to you. Someone has added straps to the device so it can be attached to an arm. The fluid is a single protective consciousness in a liquid form, though you do not know what form it may have had before. The glass-like material of the vial can turn porous when needed. allowing the fluid to flow out. It will try to protect you from incoming attacks, forming a bright silvery shield that links incoming attack forces back toward their sources. Okay. Feeling better? Yes, I haven't heard the voices again. You can't imagine how good it is to stand here, talking to you without hearing her whisper under every thought. He trails off, giving you a rueful smile. My head hurts now, but that will pass, I hope. Okay. Iberian is the most heaviest defenses, I suppose. Because because Tiber has the taunting ability. So we have an item that increases his defense and causes damage to everyone who attacks him. Potential knockdown and potential bleeding. Also relativistic damage that ignores all resistance. So we will see how that actually works. I have my doubts that it's all that effective. Ooh, we're also very close to level ups on 2 guys.
Eridus, did you really fall out of the sky?
I didn't fall out of the sky. I plummeted. Gracefully, I might add.
Isn't that the same as falling?
Not when I do it, no.
Doing begets learning, I guess.
Let's go.
Right, we've got this situation. The mother Temas. And there was a shopkeeper there. Medelia Glittering. Right, so at least there's a couple of small tasks still remaining. I hope I can get one more level up for Rin. She will never be tier 2 with the quests we have here, but at least she might be a little bit closer to getting some useful things. If anything, her angry muttering has intensified. She drags the chain of beads between her knuckles, staring into space. What now, lad? Questions. Tell me about the chain of beads you're holding. I make one for every child I deliver, made with wood and their mother's blood, carved into the shape of their soul. Touching their beads tells me if they're well, or more often if they're not, and need a mother's help. He tilts an eyebrow at you. Sometimes I just witness of her, but I still carve a bead to mark the occasion, if I think the child is worth remembering. Aren't you worried that your house will fall off the cliff? And if I am, where would I go? I was born in this house. Should I abandon it for a handful of self-serving rumors about Stygia and rotting stone? Nay, I'll stay here, and should my home crumble, I'll hold it together with my fists. Why do people call you mother? I've delivered every child of a mortal womb in Cliff's Edge. A smile slips unbidden onto her face, and some who were not. Do you have any children of your own? Nay, none. Never have, in fact. But as the saying goes, all children in Cliff's Edge have 2 mothers. That's better than having one of my own. So you like living here? Still here, aren't I? She says, wrapping the chain of beads around her fingers. I like having my children all around me. Okay. Apparently I can't really ask anything. I... Have I talked with her before? Questions about you. The only things I can ask about is her. I talked with her before.
Doing begets learning, I guess.
I don't have a quest. I can't be sure. Okay, Medelia glittering. Hello, friend. Not a single rumble beneath my feet for hours, and I hear I have you to thank. Her eyes crinkle at the edges as she smiles warmly at you. Now, she puts one hand on her hip and gestures to her table with the other. I hope very much it was thought of my treasures that guided you. Which one has called you here today? Want to sell me your rodent globes? Very sure. Right. Okay, what exactly do you have? Ooh, she has a lot of healing items. That's good. Scholar's Archive. Training in machinery, lore, natural. +2 damage on spell attacks. Negative on persuasion and initiative. That's not bad, because our lore machinery and lore natural skill is untrained. With this we could get them to specialized levels. Also more damage on spell attacks. Stealth kills, necessary attacks. Leucotic Bladder heals 13 points of health on all allies in range. So 23 on ring. Psychic Detonation. Leucotic Bladder.
I need to lie down and maybe throw all these warm glowing things away.
I'll sell the Ring of LA more. Okay, Mystical Specialized. The ring is the symbol of a lost cult that worshipped the mythical serpent El Amor. This cult specialized in making poisons and crafted these devices from a cache of ancient Numenera in their temple. It is said that they once controlled the far north of the Ninth World for a brief period, and legends insist that the mention of El Amor still strikes terror in the hearts of some of the inhabitants of that area. So this could be useful if we have to go there. Scholar's Archive. It's fairly expensive and it's not that useful in combat situations. I do like my extra perception, although I have no idea how useful this is in reality. This is so fairly expensive though. But I do like my lore skills, I really do. They have all kinds of nice, interesting things. I need to check that I actually do need them. Relativistic damage. Knockdown. This isn't that great. It's fine, but the damage isn't that much. Also, the debuff lasts for a single round. So, not that crucial. This is just shit. Go away. Okay. Spray flesh. I don't think we need the better ones. Although sometimes you just got to get the heavier heal in. It's a question, do we take this Scholar's Archive or not? We will suffer the negative effects. Actually, we can switch them around. This only has negative on stealth skill, and I give zero shits about that. I'm not sure if this is a good purchase, but I'll buy it anyway. Right. Right. We are a little bit less stealthy, but we have the perception and specialized lore skills. So that would actually help us in any way. We're looking for additional notes on items, nothing all that amazing otherwise. Okay, both the mass and the okay, this is heals 3 hit points of speed. 3 points of speed. Both the moss and the pebble are living creatures, and their apparent symbiotic relationship is actually an ongoing conflict in miniature. The moss is a predator attempting to penetrate the hardening shell of the pebble. When the item is used, the moss is absorbed and dies, freeing the pebble from its struggle. I feel that if there's something... Okay, train. Unique pairs highly sought after. Yeah, most of these we already knew everything. The extra skill level just doesn't reveal anything interesting. The core of this device seems to have been harvested from an ancient ship by the infamous Nano, Amon Yao Guru. His legend ends with the cipher's harvest. Perhaps the vessel's last act was to crush this unwanted intruder. Gravity bomb. The statue is centuries old. It is rumored to be infused with the mental essence of the legendary Francisco Flamebait, the fiddler from the fjords. Hell was known for being a trickster, but his performances detailed tall tales of extraordinary exploits could inspire great confidence in others. Right. I wonder if I can use my specialist. So my skills apply to every other item too. These are just normal crap. Maybe should I revisit the reef now too, now that I have a lot more lore skills. I might be able to get more out of the items there. With parts scavenged from the hulls of ancient vessels, this ornament was crafted into one functional whole by an ancient nano known by the Mintonian. His true name is lost to history, but his skill is undeniably beyond today's ken. And energize your damage. Legends say the young Kel, the quick ice axe. Legends tell of young Kel who found this axe in its original shape. His belief was that this device would finally allow his vengeance on the fire whites of Aussie Pagan. He fashioned the material into a blade and fastened it to a pole, etching it into characters written in tongue no other could decipher. Even this mighty weapon could not stand against the fire whites, but it has served in many battles since, deadly against all other foes. Beads of Time Never Ending. A group of 3 larger beads have each been engraved with a small but beautiful script. On the first, currently a faceted green emerald with sharp edges, you see the word "Kalis". On the second bead, slightly smaller than the first and made of thin fragile glass tinted a pink hue, you see the word "Te". The third and smallest bead in this group is currently in the form of a pliable silver metal, easily reshaped between your fingers. On it the engraving Riles. This device was long held by a devoted nano who hoped his research would enable him to protect those he loved. His only definitive conclusion was that this type of charm would most likely have been worn around the neck. I knew that. Doesn't look like she has all that many interesting things for us. No new information. This is a healing sword. Old stories tell of a sword passed from warlord to warlord. Owners survived impossible battles without a scratch, and won great renown. In their seeming invincibility, they become brash and overconfident, even bloodthirsty, until inevitably they met a violent end and had the sword pried from their hands, green overcome by red. Hmm. And that's it, right? Nothing all that great. We have pretty much the kids. Is the Stitcher still here? It is. Stitches. All his friends have gone away. That's definitely a quest.
Burning begets doing. Or is it the other way?
There's things. Yeah, I got killed in the tavern. There were still a lot of people there that I
Here
haven't
comes
talked
the
to.
boredom slayer.
I think I'll have to wrap things up. The reef and the circus has things for us. And this place, but I think that's pretty much it. I can't think of what to do with the others, like the
Yes.
headless man. He's interesting, but I just cannot figure out what the fuck
Alright.
I need to do with him. Hmm. Yeah, we have a lot of people that are named and we can talk to, but I have no fucking clue what I'm supposed to do with them. Shrug?
Absolutely.
Lord Vontian, what do you want? Declaiming to the crowd is a well-dressed but sickly-looking man. short, dumpy, and an unhealthy shade of yellow. Despite this, he has the proud demeanor of the stentorian voice of a much larger man. He booms at you as you approach.
Ah, another likely fellow. Excellent. The people have called for deliverance from these ravaging stitches, and a hero has answered. Most courageous of you.
I'll remember that.
He frowns as he gets a better look at you.
Wait, I know you. You're the one who made peace with the Stitcher. Commendable, but I'm afraid one of your new friends didn't hear about the end of hostilities. It's running rogue here in Cliff's Edge.
He looks uneasily at the crowd.
If these people get hold of it, things might go badly and all of your work will have been for nothing. Best if you were to find it first, then return and tell me precisely where it is. I'll take it from there.
He pats you on the shoulder.
And you'll be rewarded, I promise you. As the head of a slave family, I'll owe you a favor, and my favor carries a great deal of weight.
Yeah, this is designed to be for the airship. Getting rid of Eretis' debt. I have no need for this anymore. Tell me more about the stitches and its kind.
You made peace with them, surely you know them better than I do. I'll offer my perspective if you like.
Tell me about the rogue stitches you're looking for.
The vile thing appeared in Cliff's Edge a few days ago, and it's been skulking around ever since. Whole neighborhood lives in fear of it.
Why did the Stitcher come to the Ooh. Why is Cliff's Edge so afraid of the Stitches?
Some will tell you it's because this district has suffered the most from the Stitcher digging, houses collapsing on the people, others falling into the sea. There's some truth to that, but the real reason is that the people here have become weak and afraid. They aren't prepared to face adversity.
He leans in, warming to his subject.
Indeed, if the Stitcher didn't exist, I would be tempted to invent them, for they are just what the city needs to stiffen its spine. Sigus Cliffs, our once proud empire, has abandoned its holdings and ceded its territories to autochthonous tribes and wild beasts. It's time to take them back. But how can we do that when our citizens have become lazy, timid children?
Yeah, I see you use the word "we," but I think that someone else is gonna be doing the fighting and dying in this empire building of yours. You're right. Without conflict, people grow complacent. They do. Active threats keep them on guard. That's true too, but you don't need active threats to keep people on guard. It's usually a problem with politicians. They don't want to spend necessary funds to maintain readiness. It's not like people don't want to keep it. It's a major expenditure, and you could if you're in a political position, you probably are constantly dealing with fighting over small amounts of money to get projects done. So military that doesn't seem to have an immediate use can seem unnecessary. At least the size can seem unnecessary. The thing about military is that by the time shit hits the fan, it's too late to start doing anything with the military. At that point you have the army you have the training you have the organization you have the production lines you have, the plans you have. You have to, if you neglected your military up until the point where the threat of war becomes real, it's too late. It's too late to really change all that much anymore. You're fucked. And I'm not exactly an ancient person myself, but I've already gone through a couple of times where today this might seem sort of a silly thing to say, but when the Soviet Union fell apart, there was a sort of a very serious push toward the idea that it's basically the end of history. Like this is it. Everything's done. There's not going to be great conflicts and things like that. That history is always full of constantly. Like this was some kind of major final shift, and in some ways the West or the Western culture had won, and that was it. And it didn't take all that many years, maybe a decade plus, and now the idea seems sort of retarded. I was leaning toward it being retarded then, but at the same time I wasn't paying too much attention to it. It wasn't that important. But it's the sort of the idea that the complacent idea, how people view sort of military at times when the immediate threat is not there. Immediately they came the idea that the armies and the use of force and things like that, it was not going to be needed anymore. The reasons why they had built it up was gone, and in some ways it was, but at the same time, how long? That was a very short period of time that lasted only a few years. And now I don't think anyone would seriously suggest that people are afraid of Russia again and pumping up troops at the borders, trying to get armies built up again. So NATO is afraid. The smaller countries at the Russian border are asking for support and security guarantees and all that shit. What was it? 10-15 years at most, and we're back almost at the same position. Not really, because there was a serious threat of nuclear annihilation, more or less. Now, not really. I think I'm inclined to agree with this guy. Empires, these are all decent options. Empires only serve the interests of the lucky few. Most people suffer and gain little in return. That's often true, but not necessarily. People aren't weak. They need someone to lead them, to inspire them toward a common goal. I think that's true too. I would say everyone is weak, but if you get someone to lead them, they can achieve great things. But if the goal is to try to get some kind of a backbone going with these people who are basically living in a very conflict-free life, I think this is not a bad thing. I'm not sure the Stitches are the good threat though. I'll agree with him. Wait, Sega's Glyphs had an empire?
Indeed, we held all the lands from here to Ordus Unagran. But that was before the slave uprising that brought the slave families to power. Some of us seek to reclaim what we lost.
Okay. How great was... No. Active threats keep them on guard.
Indeed.
He looks at you with new interest.
You seem a man after my own heart. I shall keep that in mind.
Anything else? I still don't fully agree with him. Yeah, I think a threat can function to fill that purpose, to keep people on guard, but at the same time it's not by no means necessary. It's more of a, it's a better tool to keep the public interest and therefore guarantee the political support to do that. It's not really needed to maintain the actual military side of it. People who usually get into the military know that what they're doing is important, even when there is not a war going on. Anything new? How did the Stitcha come to be in Sega's Cliffs? They didn't know, even themselves didn't know it.
Several members of the council believe that it's the work of our enemies, that their eggs were brought here from another world, an act of vengeance or sabotage, perhaps. Others think that the eggs were always here, and it took them centuries to hatch. But how doesn't matter to me? They're here and they're dangerous, and it's up to every true citizen of Sega's Cliffs to resist them.
I'm actually surprised that they hadn't killed them already. Anything else? Tell me about the slave families. Oh, I know about them a little bit.
We are the descendants of the slaves who rose up with Chilla the Great. They smashed the oligarchs who ruled this city and replaced their despotism with fair and egalitarian leadership, creating a city where everyone can achieve anything if they only try.
But what about you? He puts a hand on his chest and raises his chins.
I am Jars Wundken of House Wundken, one of the more respected of the slave families. I also had the honor of serving on the council.
He looks around him uneasily.
I don't usually descend to this neighborhood, but in such a crisis, one must put one's finer feelings aside and do what one can for one's city.
Cliff's Edge.
Alas, I rarely pass through these miserable streets, so I know little about them, but I go where my city needs me.
Right, he's not all that useful in what he's saying.
Let's go.
I'll leave things here. We need to go to the 5th Eye Tavern and wrap this thing up here. That's pretty much, I think, a wrap on this place.
Fair enough.
Oh, I have too much crap on someone. Petals. -1 training level in stealth skill. Yeah, I give 0 shits about that. Still have about 500 shins, and that's without us selling anything. We can sell oddities. As far as I can see, a lot of these have no secondary uses or any kind of specialties that might be a reason to hold on to them, so they're just probably worth 500 or more, just a few items. So we can easily afford everything we need. At the same time, it might not be a good idea to spend everything. I mean, if we don't have to, surely the game has better items for us to buy. I need to sell some of the ciphers, so I have way too little room for this shit. Healing items, more healing items. That's what we need. Leave the killing and fighting for the 3 other guys. But she needs healing, and we need to use the other people's cipher slots as storage space too. Right.
If you think that's best.